Moment. Country man. Love, bro. 407 years from now, humanity will look back on a dream. A dream of a world where the starving are fed, where the homeless are housed, and where obesity epidemic is but a passing memory. This dream, brought to you today in the form of cannibalism. Cannibalism, the act of a being eating another of its own species, is not unheard of in the animal kingdom, nor is it in the human race. Still practiced by many groups of tribes. It not only has a steep history, but has been described to taste good by almost all that partake, willing or otherwise. I'm not here to talk about those parts of cannibalism. Instead, I'm here to talk about the encroaching enemy here to take our food and our space. I'm talking about the fatty. Fatty is a scientific word for an obese person. It is because of the ever-growing fatty breast that I wrote my paper and made this PowerPoint, among other reasons. Cannibalism isn't just a viable solution to the world's problems, it's a stylish one. Every 10 years or so, a select group of people become cannibals. Now, bear with me here. A study has recently concluded cigarettes are considered uncool by 60% of the people who spend time taking surveys. Now, we also know that cigarettes make you up to 30% cooler just by having them on your person. Thus, the smaller a minority that does something, the cooler it makes you. And a very, very small minority of people actually are cannibals. Thus, it must be the new hip fashion sensation that's sweeping the nation. However, do those people honestly deserve more food? No, they should die. Than him. But let's just do some of the math here. If every single obese person in the world has a child, that would mean 600 million obese people. They're organized and they're breeding. Okay? Starving people make up 1/6 of the population, compared to the obese, which would be 1/10 of the population. Each fat person could feed more than 2 starving people. But instead of feeding the starving, you're letting the fatties live out their lives, in essence, forcing them to starve. Doesn't that make you feel horrible? Because it makes this small African child cry. Don't you just want to wipe away his tears with a cheeseburger? No. However, I would like to salute fine establishments like McDonald's. Why? Because they make sure that as long as they're around, we can fall back on our fatty reserve whenever times get hard and food isn't plentiful. Besides, what are they going to do? Run? Okay, that was a little bit harsh. But looking at all your bright, interested eyes, I see that some of you are not convinced. Well, fine. I won't force anyone to eat anything they don't want to. But if you were starving, wouldn't you rather eat? Which brings me to my next point. Today, at least 2 pro-cannibal groups exist. That slide doesn't. At least 2 pro-cannibal groups exist. As the movement spreads, expect to see advertisements like this creep on your television and your internet. Here's another. Don't you want to be cool like him? But that now, I don't quite understand understand this phenomenon, but every time a rational discussion on cannibalism takes place, it ends in an argument about Christmas. Now, personally, I don't have a side in the presents under the tree or presents beside the tree debate. There are just too many hot tempers on the issue to comment. However, I can't very well leave Christmas out of this. So let's look at it logically. Christmas is a tradition because it's been around 2,000 years. Cannibalism has been around longer than that. Thus, cannibalism is just as traditional as Christmas. It's true. And finally, for my last real slide, but not my last, this is Chewbacca. Chewbacca lives on Endor, even though he's originally from Kashyyyk. He might be a cannibal, but that wouldn't make sense. You know what else doesn't make sense? An 8-foot-tall Wookiee living on a planet of 3-foot-tall teddy bears, unless he wants to eat them. Looking back on my paper, fondly. Looking back, I realized that I have a large amount of overweight people who live in my life and got angry at this project. I also learned the U.S. government won't respond to my emails. And that I should make better use of the time given to me by my English teacher so she doesn't fail me. In conclusion, fatties take up space and food. Starving people don't have that much food or space. 6 million fatties could feed 1/10 of the human population, and the food they consume could feed anyone they themselves couldn't. And finally, Chewbacca lives on Endor because the